Girls 2 miles, our first official set last year by New Zealand with 9:41.76. This is one of our stronger fields we're seeing here. The 2 days time, 35, 30 yards. And then keep your eye on April 1, Hedengren, high school over Utah. She was a national record holder on 4:23 on Thursday. However, he has the national 2-mile record on 34.12. She'll be joined by Thompson from California. He gets behind Colorado, Ryan Lee.
Well, pleasant good afternoon, everybody, from the great state of Washington as we get set for the high-performance window here at the 2025 Brooks PR Invitational. I'm Paul Swangard, joined by Tom Fuhrer, Eric Goucher, and Josh Kerr on the field of play. We'll be hearing from them as they talk to some of these athletes going into this. Tom, this is an annual ritual, something we always look forward to, and what a way to get us started on the heels of a race you called just a couple of days ago. Jane Hedengren is here to run the 2-mile today.
And I have to say that after running a 4:23.50 that had to be the most relaxed looking 4:23.50 national record that you'll ever see, Jane Hedengren comes into this competition having set 4 national records in the last year, and she just missed a 5th with her 1,500 meter split en route to the mile.
That national record, 9:34.12, and there's Hedengren on the outside. As we get this racing underway, some of the best high school athletes around the country have converged here in the state of Washington for a sunny but slightly breezy afternoon, Tom. We've been watching some of the earlier racers here as we see Jane Hedengren going out to the early advantage, as we expect she would, but they're going to be facing a little bit of wind on this track today.
They will. There are wind gusts up to 10 miles per hour out there. What's interesting for Hedengren, having run in St. Louis Wednesday night, and then just having a couple days recovery, but this is a superhuman athlete. And my expectation is that after seeing how she ran in St. Louis, that the national record is definitely in jeopardy here.
Mary Kane had the 2-mile high school record. She set that indoors back in 2013, 9:38.68. Hedengren now 9:34. Just kind of shows you the class of the field, getting into a very comfortable rhythm. There's a lot of talent we should mention behind. In fact, some of the big players in the California State High School meet with Hannah Thompson, Riley Blade, and Jalen Williams, all here. But you've also got Addie Ritzenheim, pretty good DNA strand there for the Ritzenheim family. Zariel Makia making her first debut here out on the West Coast at the Brooks PR Invitational. So we've been talking all season long, back into the early stages of the high school cross-country season, of just how rich and deep American distance running is at the high school level. But here's somebody who's just by strides now, just a couple of laps in, already showing how she is easily considered the best of the best.
It is amazing because behind Hedengren in the race in St. Louis, you had like the number 2, 3, 4, and 5 fastest miles in the country. But Hedengren, as I say, is just on another level. There have only really been 2 high school middle distance runners that you can compare her to, one being Mary Decker-Slaney and one being Mary Kane. She has a couple of advantages even over both of them. She's very tall. She has terrific running mechanics. And she has an excellent head on her shoulders. Meanwhile, the top 3 from the California State meet are duking it out in a separate race right behind them. Thompson ran very well in St. Louis in that same mile race that Hedengren was, in fact, moving up to number 2 U.S. behind Hedengren.
Aforementioned Zariel Makia up there with the 2 Californians, along with Chloe Heiler, talented standout from the state of Oregon. Most of these folks we'll see at the next level. Many are seniors, though Ritzenheim, still just a junior in this squad, is in the back of the pack right now as we get a splendid isolation shot of Jane Hedengren, the senior out of Provo, Utah.
Paul, 2:21 through 2 laps, and I had kind of figured she'd try to run about 71 seconds and try to get under 9:30, and she's right on that kind of tempo. In fact, she picked it up a little bit. Riley Blade behind her was the runner-up in the Cal State 3200 behind Hannah Thompson. Riley Blade headed to North Carolina. Hannah Thompson headed to Stanford. Chloe Heiler headed to Notre Dame. These are all the creme de la cremes. And, of course, Jane Hedengren heading to BYU.
Maki has opened up a little bit of a space between the rest of that field. Makia out of the state of New York, very comfortable on all different kinds of services, Tom, as we've seen her qualify for U.S. national teams in cross country, has also performed well on the roads and as well in indoor and now in outdoor track.
She's a very good peaker, to your point, Paul. She really gets herself prepared for the biggest meets during the summer, or in the case of the cross country in the early winter. Now, Hedengren just ran a 69.9, so she's gone 71, 70, 69.9. So through 1,218 meters or 1,320 yards, she's at 331.85.
And any BYU Cougar fans out there watching, the first and second place runner in this race right now, future members of that BYU squad, as Makia has also announced that she intends to enroll at BYU as well. You can hear the crowd really rising up to the occasion here, really respecting and now witnessing what has been one of the most talked about runners on the high school circuit all season long. Look now at Makia still leading the group that is in really a race within a race now, with Heiler, Thompson, Blade, Callista Garmer of Knoxville, Tennessee, also among those leaders as well. But a 69.32 last lap for Hedengren.
Every single lap has been faster for Hedengren, from 71 to 70 to 69.9 to 69.3. Just a shout out to Hannah Thompson, who won the California State meet in the 3200 as a freshman, and then kind of had her ups and downs, and then recaptured the title this past year as a senior, and then finished right behind Hedengren that great race in St. Louis. And it's really interesting to see, Addie Ritzenheim also up there. She competes at altitude in Colorado, so usually when those athletes come down to sea level, Paul, they really blast through their season's best. And Ritzenheim right in that group too, holding down 7th through through a mile, so to speak. Mile, by the way, passed at Hedengren in 4:41.17, which on the high school list this year would be amongst the top 10 or 12 times by itself, to say nothing of it being halfway through a race that she's running.
Look from high above, but it's an absolutely pristine weekend in the Northwest, and not only do these athletes get an opportunity to race in this high-performance section on this Sunday, but have been treated kind of royally throughout the weekend. Great job by Brooks bringing in all these athletes here and really putting them on center stage to have some fun. But now it's the seriousness of racing on the track against some of the best in the country, and clearly the best in the country, the best ever in multiple distances, including this one, now trying to break that 9-minute and 30-second mark for a high schooler here in the 2 mile as she works her way down to the main straightaway here.
And Paul, that last lap was a 69.9, so she's had 3 consecutive laps. She's like a metronome out there, but I do see a little discomfort across her face right now. And, it's close to 80 degrees out there. It's getting to a high of 83. That wind, no competition. We may not see, although she just ran another 69.9. Amazing, amazing.
2 laps to go for the leader, Hedengren. As we look back on the rest of the group, and Riley Blade now leading that group. Heiler right behind her, along with Thompson and Garner.
Paul, Riley Blade is a 15:16 5,000 meter runner, which puts her number 2 all time behind Jane Hedengren. And Hedengren is sub 15, which I think, aside from that mile, is one of her best records, of all the records she has, to run sub 15 for 5,000 as a high schooler. And you wonder at the USATF Championships, if she decides to go, what event she would choose. She would be competitive right away.
Well, just to put this into context, the meet record in this event is Allie Zeeland's mark from a year ago, 9:41.76. And look at that clock now with a lap to go, as she's going to absolutely obliterate it. And now, Tom, I want to not only talk about breaking the high school record, but number 10 on the all-time U.S. list in this 2-mile, 9:20.17. And she is in a rhythm here, heading to the backstretch for the final time.
She will get into that top 10, Paul, because she just ran a 69.1, and she's really turning it up. You can see on the drone shot just how effective her turnover is there, and the margin that she has over everybody else. It's just incredible. I mean, this is the creme de la creme of high schoolers, the top high schoolers in the country. She's making mincemeat out of.
She is more than a half lap ahead of those leaders as Riley Blade goes to the final lap. And now in the distance here, coming into view on the left side and the right side of your screen, is Jane Hedengren. She is going to obliterate her own high school record, but now let's see where she fits in the best of the best in American history at the 2-mile. As she comes into the final stretch, Jane Hedengren is going to do another disastrous result to the record books as she comes across the line in 9:17.75, and she will now be number 8 on the all-time list in U.S. history at any level. Tom Fuhrer, Jane Hedengren, absolutely wow.
Yeah, wow is the word. She ran a 4:36 second mile. She ran negative splits, 4:41, 4:36. 4:36 alone would be the fastest high school miler, or the second fastest high school miler if your name wasn't Jane Hedengren, which is just phenomenal on the second part of a 2-mile race. That's how spectacular she is. She wins by 40 seconds over Riley Blade, who runs 9:57.10, which is a tremendous race. I mean, it's just unheard of.
Well, and some of these names on this top 10 list, Alicia Monson, American record holder at 9:09.70, did that indoors. Ellie St. Pierre, Emma Coburn, Nikki Hiltz, Jenny Simpson, Helen Schlachtenhofen, Emily Mackay, Ellie Hennis gets bounced from the list because this young lady, Jane Hedengren, has just added herself into the list. Not only a U.S. record, but one of the best performances you will have seen in American history in the 2-mile.
Well, she broke the high school record by almost 17 seconds. And remember, that's her high school record. Anybody that's not named Jane Hedengren, she broke Mary Kane 21 seconds faster than Mary Kane ran, which was the high school record for 12 years. It's also the world under 22-mile record, which was 9:20.41. So she just once again did a number on the record books as she's been doing all year long. Paul, we've never seen anyone, male or female at the high school level, that has produced performances like Jane Hedengren. And I'm very interested to see her run at the senior level because I think she's ready to go after it this summer, especially with the U.S. Championships being the end of July, early August. She has plenty of time to recover from some of these postseason high school meets.